Hare Krishna and welcome everyone to our weekly session on Bhagavad Gita. So this today being Narasimha Chaturdashi day, the appearance day of Lord Narasimha, we will discuss a few points from this wonderful pastime of how between of Prahlad Maharaj and Narasimha, Lord Narasimha, and how uh, how Lord Narasimha acted in the life of Prahlad Maharaj, and what was the mood of Prahlad Maharaj, and how we can what we can learn out of it. Everything, all of these things are also practicable to us. So we'll keep it as interactive as possible. I'll be asking a lot of questions. So feel free to unmute yourself and speak. And try and speak as many people, more the better. As many people, try and give opportunity to as many. We want all of you to participate, depending on, so try and take turns. But please feel free, unmute and speak whenever whenever there is a discussion. So we'll get started. So the yesterday also we had a beautiful class by Natam Prabhu, his guest Natam Prabhuji, on the same pastime. So I was also wondering what to I cover now, and because it was so wonderfully covered yesterday, the entire pastime. But what I found out, or what I could figure out, that what we can do today is we can discuss some of the we can discuss about the Lord's mercy and how Lord is willing to do anything to protect his devotees. So the topic for today's discussions, you all would have noticed, is that how Krishna protects. So Krishna, why Krishna? Because Keshava Dhrita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare. It's a Keshava who has who has taken the form of Narahari. Keshava Dhrita Narahari Rupa. So it is Krishna who has appeared as Narasimha, and so hence hence we called the title that how Krishna protects. And the Kaunteya Pratijane hi name bhakta pranashyati. That's a bold declaration that comes from Krishna, that my devotees will never perish, which means I will protect. The Yoga Kshema Vahamayam also confirms that I will protect what you have and I will provide what you lack. So there's a big declaration on the part of Lord. So we will see that happening in this particular pastime. So there is no better word that can describe this pastime as a protection. A single word description of this pastime is protection. And the moment we say protection, we remember Narasimha Dev and Prahlad Maharaj's pastimes. And so these words and this pastime are almost remind each other, gives us a reminder of each other. So it's that so intimately connected with each other. So we'll look at some of the prayers that Prahlad Maharaj offered. The 15th fair. So this is this whole pastime appears in the Srimad Bhagavatam in the 7th canto. 9th chapter is where Prahlad Maharaj is offering prayers to Lord Narasimha, and this happened after after Lord Narasimha appeared from the pillar. And then he kills Hiranyakashipu. He fights a war with Hiranyakashipu. Then kills, and then Prahlad Maharaj, all the demigods are present there. They were all afraid to go and approach Lord Narasimha. They were not accepting. He was not accepting their prayers. Even Lakshmi ji couldn't say, "I'll not go in this mood. I don't intend to go there." And then hence everybody, Lord Brahma requested Prahlad to please go and pacify the Lord, because he has appeared for you, for your protection. So it is apt that you go and glorify him, and seeing you, he will become calm, he will cool down, and then he will that will be fine, that will be nice. So Prahlad Maharaj goes further, and then he Lord Narasimha keeps his hand on his head, and then Prahlad Maharaj, after that, all his contamination, material contamination, goes by the touch of Lord. Receiving this contact with the Lord, all his contamination went away, goes away. And then he starts narrating beautiful prayers to Lord. And the first prayer, one of the first sentence that he says is this, that my Lord, who are who are never conquered by anyone. I am certainly not afraid of your ferocious mouth and tongue, your eyes bright like the sun, and or your frowning eyebrows. I do not fear your sharp pinching teeth, your garland of intestines, your mane soaked with blood, or your high wage like ears. Nor do I fear your tumultuous roaring, which makes elephant flee to distant places, or your nails, which are meant to kill your enemies. So this is one of the prayer that Prahlad Maharaj offer. That this Prahlad Maharaj demonstrated courage, unparalleled courage during this entire pastime, and Lord Narasimha appears to protect him, and he appeared in this extremely ferocious form, which is described by Prahlad Maharaj in this particular verse. This verse 15 in the 9th chapter of 7th canto. And so he's describing, as he's seeing Lord, he's describing his form, and it's extremely ferocious form. The mouth is that of a lion, the body is that of a human. It's extremely angry mood. He stepped out of the pillar that whatever the pillar that he appeared in simultaneously. Our Acharya says that he appeared in the simultaneously, he appeared in all the pillars, because it was not how do you know which pillar will be broken, or he appeared in the entire palace, in every atom of this palace. So whichever atom he, Prahlad would have wanted, could have pointed out, no, Lord Narasimha could have appeared from there. So it was not just pillar happened to be the nimitta matra. So 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 Prahlad pointed, Hiranyakashipu pointed to a pillar, saying that, is your Lord here? And Prahlad says, yes, why not? And then he broke that pillar with a fist, and Lord Narasimha appeared, and this was his form. And then he fights, immediately spots Hiranyakashipu, fights a war with him, and then he kills him. And then this is one of the beautiful prayer that Prahlad has offered. So everyone was fearful of Hiranyakashipu before Lord Narasimha appeared. All the devatas who are meant to protect the world, they were fearful of Hiranyakashipu. Even Hiranyakashipu would raise an eyebrow, they will all get it will send shivers down their spine. So all the devatas were extremely fearful of Hiranyakashipu. They were all serving Hiranyakashipu in his palace, and that Hiranyakashipu was killed by this ferocious form of Lord Narasimha. So obviously everybody was fearful of Lord Narasimha also. But Prahlad is saying, I do not fear. I do not fear any one of these things which everyone is seems to be scared of. And but he says something very significant in the next verse. Next verse, Prahlad Maharaj is saying that trastosmya aham krupana vatsala dussahogra samsara chakra samsara chakra kadanada grasatam pranitah baddha swakarma bhirushatam tenda grimulam प्रीतो प्रीतो पवगर्त प्रीतो पवर्ग शरणम यव हवसे कदानु. O most powerful, O most powerful, insurmountable Lord, who are kind to the fallen souls. So we have heard the Bhakta Vatsala word, which comes, Prabhupada uses this terminology in the Bhakta Vatsal verse. Krishna is Bhakta Vatsal. So he's anybody who is a Bhakta, Krishna will do anything for them. And for Arjuna, he could drive a chariot. So for somebody else, anything he can do for any of his dear devotees, he reciprocates. Everybody knew that. But here, Prahlad Maharaj is addressing Lord Narasimha as a Krupana Vatsala. Krupana is one who is a miserly person. Krupana is the one who is the one who is a miserly person, who is suppose if you're given a golden pen and if you keep using it for scratching your head, not for writing anything, that's a miserly use of pen. If you're given human life and if you don't try to learn scriptures and hope or work towards attaining liberation, then that is a misuse of human life. You don't need human life to have sex. You don't need human life to have food. You can have that in a hog's body and a dog's body as well, and with more facility for these things. So human body has superior intelligence. Human body has superior consciousness, which is meant to explore these questions and work towards liberation. For doing the while doing this, have to do you will have to fulfill your desires also. That facility is also available, but that is not the principal purpose of this world. So principal objective of this creation of this world, on in that giving a human form, is to attempt for liberation. But when somebody is not doing it, somebody is keeping himself busy in eating, mating, sleeping, defending, then that is a misuse of human birth. So it's not required. Then such person did not have been given human birth. You could have been given a hog's body, dog's body, and they would have felt far more comfortable and happy while doing those activities. So so Prahlad Maharaj belonged to the Asura Kula. So Prasad Maharaj and Asuras are not the only ones who have horns on their heads. Anybody who wish to drive pleasure by enjoying senses is called Asura. Anybody who wish to derive pleasure by enjoying senses is called Asura. So you can imagine all of us are Asuras of different size and shapes, and we are not as ferocious as some of the Asuras that were described in the scriptures, but nevertheless, all of us are Asuras, because we do have desires. We do have desires to use our senses for driving pleasure. And then that is the state, but that was the principal state of Asura Kula in which Prasad Maharaj appeared. He appeared in the demons, amongst the demons. So Prasad Maharaj is saying that in general, our Kula is everybody is wasting their life. They've given human form of life, and then they keep themselves busy in sense enjoyment, and therefore we are Kripanas. So Kripana Vatsala. So Lord is not only Bhakta Vatsala, Lord is also a Kripana Vatsala. So it's not that when you become devotee, Lord will provide and protect you. And Prasad Maharaj is saying that to non-devotees also he's prepared to do that. So that kind my Lord is. That is how much kind my Lord is. So he's calling him Kripana Vatsala, very beautiful term. So who is kind to the fallen souls? I have been put into the association of demons as a result of my activities, and therefore I am very much afraid of my condition of life within this material world. So Prahlad Maharaj was not fearful of seeing Narasimha. He was pleased, he was happy actually to see Narasimha appear from the pillar. So that's what devotees, when they see Lord, that's what devotee becomes happy, and Lord comes, appears only for their happiness, and he gives happiness. He gives happiness to the devotees when by his appearance. So he will become extremely delighted by seeing this beautiful form of Lord. But now he is expressing his concern. He's worried, and he's saying, now I'm very much afraid of my condition of life within this material world. When will that moment come when you will call me to the shelter of your lotus feet, which are the ultimate goal for liberation from the conditioned life? What is happening? Why is this is the climax, right, of the story? And so we'll come to that question. We'll ask that question towards the end of this slide. But just to recap, what had happened up till this point is that Prahlad Maharaj was a devotee. He became devotee because Narad Muni preached him when he was in the womb of his mother. And after stepping out, this is his life till the age of 5. So in the first 5 years, he's been exhibiting beautiful, wonderful qualities of Vaishnava. And he's been preaching. He started preaching to his friends, the demons, and they started chanting and dancing. And fearlessly, Prahlad Maharaj is answering questions, giving class to his father. Then So when he realized that he's, instead of worshipping me, he is worshipping Vishnu. And Hiranyakashipu was power obsessed. He wanted to become Vishnu. He never thought of Vishnu as a different category of person. He said, if I work little bit more hard, I will become Vishnu. Then I have no fear of Vishnu. But that was his biggest mistake. And therefore, instead of surrendering to Vishnu, he was competing with Vishnu. Now उनकी कंपटीशन चल रही थी विष्णु के साथ, and therefore he was become extremely upset the moment Prahlad Maharaj uttered his word, that he's worshipping Lord Vishnu, and he's asking, Prahlad Maharaj is asking Hiranyakashipu to also do that, because he is the Supreme Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead, and everybody should surrender to him. So that was his position, that was his preaching. And hearing this, Hiranyakashipu became mad. Now the power obsessed people can do anything to retain their power, and they don't like opposition to their power, anybody opposing their position of power. And this is where Prahlad Maharaj, his own son, a 5-year-old child, is when he raised this issue, raised this concern, give this challenge to his power, saying that you are not all powerful. He didn't like it. He didn't like it so much so much that he ordered for his killing. And from then onwards, there is beautiful pastime where Prahlad Maharaj was subjected to various punishments, which otherwise will easily kill anybody, no matter how powerful a person might be. That could be good enough for his death, could have caused his death very easily. But Prasad Maharaj remained unaffected. And then finally, the conversation took place between him and his father, and he broke a pillar. And from there, Narasimha appeared, and he fought with Hiranyakashipu for some time, and then he killed Hiranyakashipu with his nails by keeping all his conditions. So what were these conditions? There were many. Some of them were that Hiranyakashipu cannot be killed by a devata or a human or anybody. So he was neither Lord Narasimha was neither a devata nor a human, neither a man or an animal. So he was a half man, half lion, half man. He killed him in the evening. So it should not be a day or a night. He didn't want it to be killed in any one of these scenarios. So Narasimha fought with him till it was dusk time or the evening time, in between day and night. The time in between that, that is the time that he chose. And then he picked up, took him on his lap. So he was neither up nor down or nor in the water. He kept him on his lap in between. And then he should not have been killed by any shastra astra. So he simply killed him by his nails, and neither inside nor outside. So he chose to kill him on the doorstep, on the border of the home. So fulfilled all conditions, whatever, kept the word of Brahmaji, and Brahma, who had given this boon to Hiranyakashipu. So fulfilling all his conditions, Narasimha killed Hiranyakashipu. And so this was from Prahlad's point of view, who's been suffering a lot at the hand of his father. This was a moment of glory or a moment of victory for Prahlad Maharaj. And but at that time, Prahlad Maharaj is expressing this beautiful verse, saying that now he was not scared until then, but now he is scared. Why was Prahlad Maharaj scared? Anybody, please unmute and speak. Why was Prahlad Maharaj scared? What was he worried about?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji.
I think he was scared because after observing his fierce avatar, I think he was more scared. He killed his
the previous verse which we heard, where he says that I'm not fearful of your ferocious form. He described that form.
Yeah.
That so he said, I'm not fearful of that. But in the next verse, he says, I'm now fearful. Now I'm worried.
Because killing Hiranyakashipu in a very wild way, so maybe he got affected, I think so.
No. So he's saying you're wearing a garland of intestine. Yesterday, Narasimha Prabhu also described that he not only just simply killed him and threw him away, but he removed his intestine and made a garland of it and wore it. So Prahlada Maharaj in the 15th verse actually describes that I have seen that also, but that also does not scare me. But something else scaring me.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Prahlada Maharaj was fearful of the association of the demonic people around him.
Okay, so demoniac association. What would that lead to?
Yeah, he wanted to probably he didn't want to get himself influenced by these demonic nature of other people. He wanted to be a pure devotee.
Okay. Yeah. Anyone else?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji.
I think maybe like he was fearful because of thinking about her Hiranyakashipu's end, how worst end might happen to him. Maybe that could be the reason. Like
no, he was not worried. He was in fact happy to see. Why will he be worried? So he was so happy to see Lord appearing in this beautiful form. Yeah. Please keep unmuting or keep raising hand, whatever you may like. But why was Prahlada Maharaj worried? What was his concern? One more, and then we will go back to presentation. Chandraman Prabhuji, yes, you want to say something?
Yes, Prabhuji. I mean, I'm not sure, but what I'm thinking is that he might be fearful for a reason that all the demonic people might have the same consequence which Hiranyakashipu had, because they were all praising and appreciating Hiranyakashipu and seeing Hiranyakashipu's end. I mean, Narasimha was in such a mood, he will not spare anybody. And they were all encircling Prahlad, and he being a kind man, he might be having, I mean, this is a wild guess. I might be totally wrong.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी.
Yes, Maharaj.
हाँ प्रभु जी, प्रहलाद महाराज का मेन कंसर्न ये था कि उनके पिता की गति कैसे क्या होगी. तो उन्होंने भगवान से पहले यही मांगा कि उनके पिता को उचित गति प्राप्त हो. तो भगवान ने कहा कि मैं तुम्हारी आगे की 14 पीछे की आगे की 7 और आने वाली 14 पीढ़ियों को मैं तार दूंगा. ऐसा भगवान ने उनको आश्वासन दिया. तो पहला कंसर्न उनका इसी बात का था, प्रहलाद महाराज का.
Okay. The important word in the previous verse, we'll go back to the presentation, and the important verse in this word is a samsara chakra. Samsara chakra indicates that the repeated birth and repeated death, and that happens because of our karmic reactions, and the karmic reactions comes when we act for sense gratification, and this is the feature of, this is the demoniac tendency. This is how what demons, asuras are meant to do. So even if, so whatever they do it for their own sense enjoyment, and which is for this reason all their actions produce reactions, and because of that they end up taking repeated births in this material world. So this is, and now Prasad Maharaj at this point, the Hiranyakashipu was killed, so it was obvious that Prahlad Maharaj would become next king. Once you become a next king, yes, one of the concern that he expresses later is that he want to know what gati, because his father was not favorable to Lord, and so what gati he would get. And then Narasimha Deva answers this, one of the questions, this is one of the first answers that he gives to him, that don't worry about that I have already taken care. But his biggest concern was that entanglement, because he will get entangled. Now he becomes king, he's becoming king, as a king, you become administrator. As a king, you will get married, you will have children, you will have to get involved into so many other things which are other than bhakti, other than devotional service, and that can take you away, that can bewilder a person. And then that means that it has a potential to even bewilder somebody like Prahlad Maharaj. So Prahlad Maharaj is expressing his concern that this situation is vulnerability. This is his vulnerability, that everybody is vulnerable to fall down to Maya. Nobody is 100% secured. And this is what Prahlad Maharaj is admitting. He's expressing this humility. Now, he's not at our level, but what he's doing is expressing his humility by accepting his vulnerability. As he will be in going into the material world, he will be, he if he becomes king, if he gets married, if he have children, if he goes start ruling the kingdom, start fighting wars, start protecting the citizens, and get involved in all these activities, he might forget Lord, he might forget his bhakti, he might lose his bhakti. This is his biggest concern. Now, this is a different type of concern than most of us will have, and that's why Prahlad Maharaj is such a special devotee of Lord. So, so let's take a step back and understand that what does Srimad Bhagavatam do? What is it that it is discussing? Now, Srimad Bhagavatam, in Srimad Bhagavatam, there are different. We always often speak that Bhagavad Gita is principle, gives the principles, and Bhagavatam gives the case study, the implementation of the rules and regulations in the practical life. Those examples are discussed in Bhagavatam. And Bhagavad Gita just gives rules and regulations. So do this, don't do this, and this is what is recommended, this is not recommended. So talks about the principles, not so much of a case study, not so much of the experiences of the people, or the people saying how, do not show how those rules were applied in reality. But Bhagavatam is full of those stories. Through stories, that's demonstrated that how the rules which were told in the Bhagavad Gita were described and were actually implemented in the real life by different devotees. So all the devotees practically go through various distresses in Bhagavatam. So Bhagavatam, but Bhagavatam is peculiar, is slightly different in the way it deals with the distress. Now, when the devotees go through a difficult phase or difficulties, or the distresses, the question that Bhagavatam raises is not why bad things are happening with good people, which is often is asked in this world, that I'm a good person, why bad things are happening to me? In my mind also, I do not wish bad for other people, in so long as I remember in this birth. Then why are bad things happening to me? Am I I'm not worthy of this. I'm deserve much better treatment from Lord. So why bad things happen to me? And then we have law of karma and all those discussion that happens in the domain of Bhagavad Gita, if we may say so. However, Bhagavatam raises or changes the question. It doesn't ask why bad things happen to good people, but rather it discusses or it explains that what good people do when bad things happen to them. So it has changed the question upside down. It has flipped the question, saying that what good people do when bad things happen to them. Now, let's hear these two pictures. First, the picture on the left hand side. Can somebody describe this pastime? Who has not spoken so far, please unmute and speak.
On the left, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Hare Share.
Yes, Prabhuji.
On the left picture, I think it is a dead snake has been put across the saint by, I'm forgetting his name, Pariksit Maharaja.
Okay,
Pariksit Maharaj.
Pariksit Maharaj. Yes, that's correct.
Right. And in the right, okay, let somebody else.
Somebody else. Yes, let somebody else try. What is there on the right hand side?
On the right hand side is that Bharat Maharaj got enchanted with the deer.
Okay, Bharat Maharaj helping a deer, rescuing a deer from who was caught on the river. So yeah, that's correct. Thanks so much. So on the left hand side we have Pariksit Maharaj making a mistake. This is a mistake, right? That a dead snake. He was hunting and he went into a hermitage of a Brahmana. Brahmana was in meditation when he went there inside, so he couldn't properly receive the king. The king is a king. King is a kshatriya, so he felt insulted. Now, this is where even we are all vulnerability comes in. All of us, we believe we are all good people. We are all devotees. We are chanting. We are, but we are doing some charity. We are not really aspiring for bad to happen to other people, but sometimes we can also commit mistakes. So this is an example of Pariksit Maharaj, somebody as pious king as Pariksit Maharaj, somebody who has seen Lord face to face while he was in the womb of his mother, when Lord Krishna saved him from Brahmastra fired by Ashwathama. Now the same Pariksit Maharaj became angry when Brahmana did not receive him properly, and then he did this action. He lifted a dead snake from nearby, and put it across the neck of this Brahmana who was meditating. And for this mistake, now this was a mistake. Nobody defends Pariksit Maharaj for not doing a mistake, but for this mistake, he was given a punishment which was not. Which was a disproportionate punishment. Why? Because the Brahmana's son came and he sentenced him for that. Next 7 days you will die. A snake will come and he will bite you and you will die. So the mistake was there, a small mistake was there, but the punishment that he got was disproportionate. But what did Pariksit Maharaj did? What he did, when he saw the disproportionate punishment coming in his way, he understood this is will of the Lord. He understood this is not one may get a punishment in proportion to one's own error or mistake. One is then able to link it with the mistake that one has done. But however, for a small mistake, when a big punishment comes like this, then he understood it to be a will of the Lord, and he accepted the punishment. He surrendered himself, took full shelter of Krishna and Krishna Katha, and then perfected his life. And then actually the snake comes at the end of 7 days after hearing Krishna Katha Bhagavatam from Sukadeva Goswami, and then he leaves his body. On the right hand side, Bharat Maharaj, who had given up his kingdom, it is described that Bharat Maharaj gave away his opulence, his palace, his wives, his children, when he, as easily as one gives up one stool in the morning. So he didn't even look. So these are all subject matters of attachment to a family person, and he was wealthy. He had beautiful palaces, beautiful wives, beautiful children, praja, or people who were fond of him. People loved him as a king, and he was ruling very judiciously. So he was doing his work perfectly. So it was like even the Indra was envious of Bharat Maharaj's kingdom and opulence. That was his opulence, and he gave it up because he wanted to serve the Lord. And then he came to jungle, and then he saw a bird, a deer, baby deer, floating in the river, and where he felt probably if he continues, it's a newborn baby deer. His mother is dead, and there's no one to protect him, and so he rescued him from the water and brought him on the shore. And what was his mistake? He got attached to that deer. He got attached to that baby deer, and then he so it was actually an act of kindness. It was not even a mistake. Now, in case of Pariksit Maharaj, we can say there was a mistake. He should not have done what he did. However, in case of Bharat Maharaj, it was an act of kindness, but it took him away from Krishna. That was an action which, because that rescuing was not a problem, but later he getting attached to that baby deer was a problem, and that took him away from Krishna. That took him away from his goal, and for that he was also punished. He had to take 2 more births. Next birth he became deer, and next birth he became Jada Bharata, and then he perfected his life. But even he was given a punishment. However, in case of Prahlad Maharaj, what was he doing? He was chanting name of Lord Krishna. He was chanting and dancing, and he was doing nothing wrong. He didn't do anything wrong in order to get the punishment that he was getting. So remembering God or remembering Lord, surrendering to Lord is principal duty of every human being, and that's what he was doing. So for doing something right, he was being punished, and punished also very severely punished. So no mistake but big punishment. So that was his condition, that was his situation. Now question is, if Krishna loves his devotees, then why he let bad thing happen to them? Now this is the question that and we will come to how devotees respond that portion. But Krishna loves his devotees like parents love their children. So how do we understand this? Sometimes Krishna will protect a devotee, and sometimes Krishna will prepare a devotee for facing the challenge, for facing the danger. How does it work? For example, when parents take care of their children, sometimes when the babies are very small, children are very small, so their parents perform the protection of child more than the preparation for danger, facing danger. So there the parent will be careful in not letting baby touch the fire, go on the street alone, or fall down, or from a top, not a high, from a make sure that they don't fall down, they don't get hurt, they don't. So that's a protection. They work for their protection of babies, their babies protection. So that's the mood of parent, that they are trying to protect them from potential danger. Later, when the same baby grow up a little bit, they buy him a cycle, take him out and make him learn the cycling. And that time there is a danger, because what is the danger? The child may fall down and may get hurt. However, parent is prepared to expose baby to those dangers, so that they can face bigger dangers later. Now earlier parents were protecting babies from not going out on the street, but now parents are willing to show baby how to follow rules of the traffic, how to drive on the left hand side of the road, how to understand the signals, how to give signals while riding a bicycle, or how to make sure that you don't get yourself or you take proper turns, you show proper signs. And so on all these things, when a child will do on his own or on her own while riding a bicycle, there will always be potential danger that the child will be exposed to. But parents are willing to take that chance, are willing to take that risk, and let child prepare himself for facing the danger, rather than always being in the protection mood. So Krishna also does something similar to us. So sometimes he loves us as we are. He doesn't. He is good. That's why he loves us, and that's why he's caring for us. He's doing everything for us. However, he does not want us to stay as we are. He loves us too much to allow us to stay as we are currently. Currently, what is our condition? We are born in this material world with the desires of various desires of sense enjoyment. We want to enjoy the world with which Krishna has provided for, using the facility which Krishna has created. And Krishna will allow us to do that to a certain degree, but he also wants us to change our desire. He also wants us to change our willingness, our desires, and he want us to develop a desire for us to come back to him. And for that, he's working extremely hard. He's providing us with scriptures, he's providing us with temples, the facility, and he's providing us with devotees who can show example. So he's giving scriptures, the knowledge, he's sending devotees who show by personal example how to practice bhakti, and he's providing temples. Temples are there to practice the facility. The facility is created where what the knowledge we have learned, what the examples we have seen can be practiced personally by us. So he's given all the facilities, and he wants us to come back to him more than what we want to go back to him. So we doesn't really have a desire to go back to Krishna as much as he has a desire for us to come back to him. So we'll do we'll do some discussion, group discussion on this particular chart. we're talking about the danger that Prasad was facing, a danger because he was a devotee. He was performing devotional service. He was doing bhakti. He was remembering Krishna. The whole purpose of bhakti is cultivating remembrance of Krishna, cultivating constant remembrance of Krishna. Ananya chetaha satata yomam smarati nityashaha. So, and what is the purpose of this? Purpose of this is to remember Krishna at the moment of death. That's that's antakale chamam evam smaran muktva kalevaram. So the smarati word is very predominantly used in the 8th chapter to describe the process to attaining Krishna, of attaining Krishna. That Krishna, just by behaving good in this world, you will not attain Krishna. Just by doing some charity to orphanage, you will not come to Krishna. Just by showing some agarbatti, you will not come to Krishna. You have to develop remembrance of Krishna, constant remembrance of Krishna. And when you develop that and continuously remain engaged in remembering that throughout your life, even while performing your duties, you will be able to remember Krishna at the moment of death by his mercy. Remembrance also comes from Krishna. Krishna says, Matah smrutir jnanam apohanam cha. So everything, smruti comes from Krishna. So this we cannot remember Krishna without his mercy. But that is what Prasad Maharaj was doing. Prasad Maharaj is Acharya for remembrance of Krishna. In the 9 processes of devotional services, we always say that remembrance of Krishna, smaranam, that's what Prasad Maharaj did all the time. So for doing this, he was facing enormous amount of danger. Sometimes he will be thrown from a cliff. Sometimes he will be attacked by different weapons. Sometimes he will be thrown in the air, fried in the oil, boiling oil, and so on and so forth. So there was danger everywhere. And then, so we've looked at 4 boxes situation scenario, and we need to now identify what kind of people will be there in these boxes. So I'll describe these boxes for you, and then you can feel free to unmute and describe the characteristics of people who will be in these boxes. So we'll start with box 1. Box 1, we have no danger and no devotional service. Devotional service means bhakti. Danger means any risk to one's own life. There is no danger, there is no problem. So if anybody who, now these are all people we ourselves probably are in some of these boxes, or you may think of people who could be in these boxes, that there is no bhakti. Now you can see the other way around also. There's no bhakti and there's no danger. Whichever way you look at it, what these people will be thinking, what could be the thought process, what could be the what could be the mood of these people, characteristics of these people. They have no danger practically in life, and they also don't have any bhakti. They are not devotees. They are not even committing to bhakti. They're not following any processes or any of the 9 processes of devotional service. They are not devotees. They don't see, one way of looking at it is, because there is no danger, they don't see the need to become devotee also. But what could be the nature of these people? Let's quickly hear 1 or 2 comments, and then we'll go to box 2. Yeah, anybody can unmute and speak, please.
Prabhuji, I feel probably these are those kind of people who, due to their good karmas in the past, have got everything in this birth, and then they don't feel it the need, as you rightly said.
Okay, so they are probably people who are well placed. Probably they don't. There's no danger, means there's no danger of even hunger. They're probably happy. Or they're otherwise knowledgeable. We probably would have had some opulences, and thereby probably they are not. They don't have any potential danger or immediate danger that they can perceive, and therefore probably they have not even taken up bhakti. Okay. We'll go to the next box. We have lot to.
Prabhuji, you're on mute.
Krishna Prabhuji,
Yeah, sorry,
we lost you for about a minute or so.
Yes. So I just my Zoom got restarted. So let's continue. Yes. So we heard
Hare
the
Krishna,
first.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. You can hear me, okay?
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
Prabhuji.
Very
Okay, perfect. So
Prabhuji,
we'll.
in the first box, sorry,
Yeah,
in the
go ahead.
first box, does a newborn child who has been totally taken care by the parents and mother has no danger, but totally he also has no devotional services to offer, a newborn child or a child in his adolescence, or young child.
So we'll discuss the child case a little bit later. So let's keep this to people who are aware. We will consider that scenario a bit later. We have that in the one of the slide. But let us assume that they are people who are not seeing any danger, and hence they are not considering, or which are the other way around also, because for some reason, as Jigna Mataji rightly said, maybe because of the good past karmas, they have all the facilities in the current life, and they don't perceive any danger. So maybe because that is one of the reason, or for some reason they are also not doing any devotional service. So second box, there is a danger and then there is no devotional service. What could be the situation of these people? I'm not looking at chat, but I can look at it.
Prabhuji, for the second part.
Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. May I
Yes,
speak?
Mataji.
Yeah. Category 2 people know that there is danger, but they don't have devotional service because they think they themselves are fit enough to solve their problem. So they are in category 2 by use of money or some other influences, some material influences.
Okay. It could lead to two situations further, that they may be able to solve the problem, and there could be scenario when they will not be able to solve the problems. What could be the outcome in both these situations?
Prabhuji,
yes, Prabhu.
I can say that there are atheists also who do not believe in the existence of God, so they don't also offer any devotional service. So
correct.
Danger anyway is also there with them, but they want to deal it in their own way.
Yes. So then, yeah, I understand. And let's stay on the point that Yashmataji raised, that there could be these people, they have no bhakti. And when they see a danger, a problem coming their way, and then they will believe that they have to solve the problem. There's no God, there's nothing like that exists, probably. So whatever problem is there in my hand, I have to solve it. And then they will either solve it or they will fail to solve it. In the first scenario, what could be the reaction of these people when they are actually able to solve it? Now, they don't understand the law of karma. They don't understand the role that is played by law or Lord in any action. However, they think that they have done something and it has been a success. What will be their mood in that case?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, I think it will increase the ego.
It will increase ego. Okay, perfect. Very nice, Shashi. On the next side, on the same, sometimes they will be successful, sometimes they will not be successful. What will be the mood of those people who are facing dangers, who have no bhakti, and they have tried solving their problems and they have failed? what will be their mood?
The mood of ignorance, Prabhuji.
Mood of ignorance. Okay.
They will always be stressed. Like
stress. They will be cursing, right? Because they're putting their efforts as they see their efforts are getting wasted. They cannot solve a problem, and they will be extremely resentful. They will be extremely unhappy people.
Prabhuji, they keep lamenting all the time.
Lamenting all the time. Let's move to the third box. There is a danger, and then there is devotional service also.
Prabhuji, Harish,
suffering people who are suffering and people who old age or sufferers, they know the danger, and then they are also doing devotional service.
Okay, so all those people can be in this box, that they've through their life lessons, they have learned that there are problems in the world. So let me take up bhakti. They've got some exposure to bhakti, and they are practicing devotional service, and they are also perceiving the danger and perceiving the taking shelter of devotees and or Lord Krishna. No danger, but still they are doing devotional service. The fourth box.
They are spiritual people, Prabhuji. They even though currently they may not have any danger in near future, but they believe in God, and they are devotional to God, prayers and all. That's how the mindset for those people.
Okay.
Maybe they are
Prabhuji,
born in a
pure-
devotional family. Maybe so they have been seeing from their birth that we are devotees, so we keep on remembering the God always, whether good or bad situation.
Okay.
So
Yeah, that's a nice answer. Yeah. So this will be
Powerful.
Yes.
Powerful people who say say that they don't have any danger, but they are into devotional service.
Okay. Yeah.
Prabhuji, these are people who are totally surrendered to Krishna.
Yes, that's also a wonderful understanding of this. That when there is a danger, so we'll discuss that aspect also a bit later. But when there is danger and we take up devotional service, there is obviously cause for which it's not a hetuki bhakti. But when there is no seemingly danger, but we are still devotees, then that could be a very serious devotee. That could be a symptom of very sincere devotee. So that's also a way we can look at it. Let's move forward with our slides. So this is what
Prabhuji, sorry to interrupt you. I am actually seeing, if you can go back to the previous slide, I can see that the same person in different age of his life can move from stage 1 to stage 2 to stage 3 to stage 4. You know, I don't know. I mean, whether that kind of
you're right in one sense. Why with different experiences, different exposures that we get, association we may get, and we ourselves, our life also, we could have think back. We could look back at our own life. We can understand that we also probably were in some of these boxes. We could be in box 4 now, box 3 now, or hopefully in box this is the right hand side, not in the left hand side. But all of us are devotees, all of us are, so we are definitely on the right hand side. But we at different stages in our life. Now we don't take the stage when we were babies, and we're probably we were completely dependent on the parents. That stage we'll discuss, as I said, later. But ever since we probably are become major, become 15-year-old, 18-year-old, from then onwards we probably would have moved through different boxes and through different experiences. That's possible.
Right.
Prabhuji, that also means once we are devotees and we surrender to Krishna, then we all will fall into box 4, no danger, and we are into devotional service. Right?
Yes, that depends whether we are in 3 or 4 on our motive. And we'll discuss that slightly later. Okay, we'll move forward.
Okay.
So we're looking at these boxes, and this is what I can briefly summarize all our discussion. That box 1 is no conception of God, probably the atheist, and they will have no reason to also go for God, think about God. So there's no motive for them. So there's no trigger for them to even think about God. So they probably will be atheists, no connection of God, no conception of God. They will be gross materialist. If you have no conception of God or any supreme power controlling us, then you will have no fear for doing wrong also. They'll be gross materialists. They'll all holes, and probably if they are not danger, there's no potential danger, which means they have all the facility available. So this is what they will be doing. They'll be engaged in complete sense enjoyment, complete life of sense, full of sense enjoyment, and without any consideration by right way, wrong way, any other way. So they will be gross materialist. Box 2 will have people who will be cribbing and blaming God for their problems also. They have no conception of God, but they can have understanding of God. They could be the ones who may crib and blame God for all their problems because they are not devotees, so they don't want to go to God for asking for anything help, but they can have a understanding that it is his duty to provide me with all the facilities so that I can enjoy uninterruptedly or without any problems. Now when many people actually have this conception that when they want something they go to God. मेरा एग्जाम है, पढ़ाई साल भर नहीं किया है, मुझे पास करा दो. Now they treat God like a order supplier कि मुझे ये चाहिए, मुझे ये दे दो. And then so that साल भर उन्होंने मजाक किया, पढ़ाई नहीं की, and one day before the exam they are going to God giving with some nariyal. Now this is not bhakti. This is obviously not bhakti. So they will also fall in this second box. And if that is not happen, that does not happen, then obviously they will blame the God because they've expected God. It's like when you put in a 10 rupee coin, you expect in the vending machine of you want to have a juice or biscuit, you expect that machine to give you the biscuit or the juice when you put in 10 rupees. So these people can have this kind of understanding of God, that if I have given one nariyal and pav kilo pedha, God should clear me in my exam or make sure that whatever that their desires are fulfilled. Now this is a complete wrong understanding of God. Now God can supply you what you desire for, but that's not his job. That's not the only job. So this is a way these people could be the one who will crib about and blame God for everything or their problem or for all the problems in the world. Since there is no understanding of scripture, they will continue to suffer. There is no hope for them. There's no, unless they come in contact with devotees, they take up a devotional service, they take up study of scriptures, there's no hope for them. So they will continue to suffer also. Box 3 is where we can see Prahlada Maharaj was there. When he was a baby child, he was a devotee of Lord and he was facing danger and he had devotion also. So if both things were present. Now Prahlada Maharaj is a pastime. So he was putting him in this box is not the objective, but we can understand that when we have little bit of devotion or we are practicing devotees, and when we face danger, we are able to take shelter of God, just like Prahlad Maharaj. He took shelter of God when he was confronting with different dangers in his small 5-year-old boy, 5 years of age. So whenever he was facing a challenge, a difficult situation, he was remembering Krishna because he had both. He had dangers but he had devotion also, using which he could counter the danger very easily. Box 4 is his current situation where there is no danger. The Hiranyakashipu is dead. And now Prahlad Maharaj will become king. So there is no practically danger. There is no danger. There is nobody to challenge him now because Narasimha Dev appeared for saving him. So everybody understood he's a great devotee of Lord. So there is devotion and there is no danger. Now this is a stage where we can become extremely sincere, serious devotee, mature devotee. We move from circumstantial devotion to intentional devotion. We become intentional devotee. We want to become devotee to develop love and affection for Krishna. We want to become devotee to develop constant remembrance of Krishna. Now this is intention. This is our mood. So we become extremely sincere devotees in this box. So talking about the circumstances and the intention, what do you think of this? Have you anybody heard this? This is a Ford ad, and it says that you can choose any color you want as long as it is black. What does it mean? Yeah, anybody can. What does it mean? We're not talking about the car, but so this is a.
I am the boss, and I will decide what you should have.
Okay, what you have, I'm the boss. So Henry Ford, most of you probably will know, he's founder of Ford Motors, and he was selling cars in America using this kind of an ad that you can choose any color you want as long as it's black. So what do you, from a customer's point of view, what kind of message that you get? Can you choose pink?
Yeah, you have freedom, but as long as you are within my within my choice, you have freedom.
Is there a freedom? What is a freedom means?
There is no choice over here.
There is no choice.
There's no choice, but it says the tagline shows you can choose any color. So I said it's a freedom to choose any color, but you have to be within what I have, that is the black.
I think it is basically a seller's market.
It is seller's market. Seller is deciding that I will only make black color cars, and no matter what is your liking, you will buy black color car only. So this is a perfect example, a good example of what we call as a circumstantial choice. So these are the circumstances are forcing us really to choose. There's no choice practically, correct? So let's look at this aspect. This we touched upon briefly. That the devotion also could be of two types: the circumstantial and intentional. Now, circumstantial devotion is practiced when there is no choice. Sometimes we've seen in the Hindu movies that somebody is in hospital, mother is in hospital, ventilator, father is getting operated, and then the family goes to the temple, rush to the nearest temple. Mostly it's in Film City, where we have one temple which is shown in all movies, where all those temple scenes happen, and then their prayer is happening. Or so this is devotion. This is all right, but this is devotion with motive. When you have no other choice, you choose to go to God, you choose to go to Lord. Now, child in the womb, it is said in the Bhagavatam that in the third canto, towards the end, in the 31st chapter, there is a description of how a child is put into the womb of a mother and how he develops. Different stages of developments are very described in various great details. These are described, the steps are described in which how a child grows, and when which part of body gets formed, when he starts moving, and simultaneously, now those are all proven because Bhagavatam, these are the verses from Bhagavatam, and later on with technology, science, the medicine could demonstrate that all those verses are correct as far as the physical development goes. But Bhagavatam goes further. Bhagavatam is great science, much deeper science than our physical sciences. So Bhagavatam goes into the mind of that child also. The Bhagavatam describes what that child is thinking when it is hanging upside down in a very difficult and very horrible condition in the womb of a mother, when all those insects, the insects are biting the tender body of the child, and the child is remembering all his past lives and what all mess that he did in those lives, and he is remembering God, that you gave me so many opportunities and I messed up big time in all those previous opportunities. Because of that, I am now landed up in this womb of my new mother who is probably going to give me birth in some time. So he's praying to Lord. Now this is a helpless condition. Now the child, when he's praying to Lord, is not praying out of choice. there is no choice for him. So but to pray, because that's he has the remembrance of God, and he has remembrance of all the wrong activities he has done. Now this kind of a devotion is called circumstantial devotion. This is good, but it's not good enough. It's not good enough, because the moment the child comes out and is put into the lap of his mother or her mother and father, and they all smile, they all clap, and they all start distributing sweets, celebrating birth of the child, and child gets all the attention. From that moment onwards, child forgets all the promises that he has given to the Lord while while she was suffering in the womb of her mother. So this devotion, this kind of a devotion, is when I lost my job. I want my job desperately. Because I want to feed my family. I want to support my family. I don't want job to go and drink alcohol, or to enjoy. That's not my motive. But I want to have a job, so that I can maintain my family. And for that, one may go to God. Now that's a very noble intent, and one may approach God for that. And if one has some devotion, one will approach God for that, and which is good, that at least in distress you remember Krishna. But it is not good enough, because this is the moment you get your job, moment you get your objective fulfilled, you forget God and you move away from God. And that's Krishna does not like that kind of a devotion. That is not what he want us to become. So he want us to become intentional devotees. Now intentional devotion is practiced despite of having other choices. I may choose, if I the day I became I cleared my chartered accountancy exam, the first phone call I made to a very special person, it was my mother. So now that is a choice, that I had phone numbers of all my friends and all those people, or so many people. I probably were carrying a phone book at that time, not a mobile phone, and I called from the PCO near CA Institute in Churchgate, Kulaba. But the first call, I had a choice in my phone book. There were hundreds of numbers, but I choose to call my mother. I choose to call and inform her that I have passed, because I called from Kulaba. So out of 100 available numbers on my phone book, I choose her number. That shows how special she was, or how special she is. And when that is done, you become extremely pleased as a person, because God is a person. Even he becomes very pleased when we choose him instead of choosing sense enjoyment, instead of choosing sense gratification. So that's what pleases the Lord, and then that's when he becomes extremely happy. So so now the situation, the 4 boxes that we've reviewed, we've reviewed it from our point of view. This is what we think. Let's look at it from Lord's point of view. Lord has said this place is Dukhalayam Ashashvatam. So Dukhalayam is a place of misery, and it's not a mistake. By mistake, he said that it's a place of misery. You see a child probably is about to die, and there's a vulture who is waiting to eat. That's the condition. That's the we see people in different form. People want to celebrate others' fall, and that's the reality in this world. So this is the Dukhalaya, and in the process, we get a lot of miseries, and unknowingly or knowingly, we give also a lot of miseries to others. So this is not a very happy place to be, where everybody is driven by self motive. Everybody wants to do something for themselves only. Everybody is selfish, and everybody wants to enjoy more and control more, possess more. They all want to become Krishna in their own little rights, and that's what is going to make this world a miserable place to stay. So this is not a mistake that by which Krishna said that this is a Dukhalayam. Now this is indeed a Dukhalayam, and Krishna will, because this place is full with miseries, and that's why that's what we will get as long as we stay here. And hence some miseries are unavoidable as long as we've taken birth in this world. So, but we have two ways to counter it: the material wealth and the spiritual wealth. Now again, we have another set of 4 boxes. We have the first box. We have no material wealth and no spiritual wealth. No material wealth means materially one is not resourceful, one is probably poor, living in extremely poor condition, and no spiritual knowledge also. What could be the situation of such people?
You can say beggars or people who have no place to live. They just live on the roads. They don't have any material wealth, and I don't think they also have any spiritual wealth also.
Yes, you can say that. Possible, yes, possible. Yeah, we don't want to hard classify people, but yes, possible. If one is no, so these people will be in the misery, and their misery will increase because there's no material wealth. They probably would be doing something to get better materially, but in spiritually also, if they have no knowledge, their miserable condition will be increasing. They'll be increasingly miserable all the way. The second box,
probably they are struggling to survive in this world with no material wealth, and the priority in their life is more towards earning their livings rather than putting some devotion towards God.
Could be in one. If one is in continuous distress, it is difficult for anybody to perceive bhakti. So that they could be in that condition. So what will happen to such people? They will be in perpetual phase of distress, because if the bad karma has given them no material resources, and unfortunately they have no exposure to bhakti also, then this can become a perpetual situation of distress, very, very miserable condition, increasingly miserable condition. The second box.
Prabhuji, that also. Sorry, Prabhuji, this first box also mean people who don't think that they have enough material, and they'll continuously strive to get more material wealth and have no inclination towards spiritual wealth. They'll always think
That's a
about
very good
wealth.
point that you have brought up, that this will also include those, because it's not a valuation game. We're not putting a number there that this is the material wealth. But you're right. If anybody who believes, even if Mukesh Ambani tomorrow believes that he is a miser, he doesn't have enough money, he may continue to strive hard for that. And then for such people, so greedy people, for anybody who has sufficient but doesn't believe that he has sufficient, and hence continue to strive hard to get more and more and more, hanker to get more, and that this person will say that I have no time for spirituality because I have not got enough. I just have 4 bungalows. I just don't have 12 bungalows, which is my dream, or which is where I will feel happy. So, and after that, hopefully I will take up bhakti if time permits. But so this could be also a situation where that somebody might not be happy with 4 bungalows they have, or 7 flats that they own. They might be striving to get half a dozen or 1 dozen properties, and they also may actually unfortunately fall into this category. Yes, Jamunata ji.
Maybe some of the politicians we can also bring.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, I feel this no material wealth, these people, they may be blaming God also, that it is because of him that they are not having material. So they must be thinking.
Yes, you're right. So if you don't have material wealth, you'll not blame yourself. Very unlikely that you'll blame yourself that my past karma was bad and because of which I'm born in this condition, because they have no spiritual wealth also. Spiritual wealth means bhakti. And hence they probably will be blaming God. Nupur, you want to talk about second box or first box?
Yes, first box, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Actually, Prabhuji, I remember Baba Sahib Ambedkar. He was when he was a child, he was not materially very opulent, so he used to blame God and religious institutions for it, and then he converted himself to Buddhism.
Okay, yeah, that's a good, that's a nice example that you shared. So yes, and these people will also move, because yes, you may initially be in this first box, but we may go to the next box, that is second box. So there you have something materially, you possess something, you are able to own and control few things. Not all things, that's also possible, but if one is content with what one have, then can easily move to the second box. And then where you enjoy the position of power, you enjoy position of control over something, resources, and but unfortunately you have not taken spirituality, or not taken bhakti. What could be your state of mind?
They think that they have earned their wealth by their own efforts, and they are more sort of, not believing in God.
Absolutely. Hiranyakashipu was this box. So he believed everything he has done, he has achieved is by his own hard work, by his own austerity. He got Brahma's boon, but then Brahma gave him beautiful body. Then by his own prowess, power, he conquered the Swarga, made all the people in the Swarga their servants. So he doesn't see the need for even thinking about spirituality. Now he austerities he performed for getting boon is not bhakti. It's done with motive, clear motive. He didn't wanted to glorify Brahma for being a creator of the world. He had a list of things to ask for. So that's not bhakti. So Hiranyakashipu and all of us probably in some stage of our life, probably we fail in this category earlier, or a lot of people we probably know today who are who are rejecting devotion, or who are not concerned about becoming a devotee, could fall in this second box. The third box, let's quickly move. Anybody has not spoken so far wants to say what could be the mood of these people, what these people are thinking? They have material wealth and they also have spiritual wealth.
I think Arjun is the best example here, who had all the Pandavas who had material wealth, but they were totally spiritual wealth by believing.
Yes, absolutely correct. So Arjun was there, Yudhishthir Maharaj was there, will fall in. So even Prahlad Maharaj, when he became king later on, he will be in the third box. And the fourth box is no material wealth, but have a spiritual wealth.
All saints, Tukaram and all, who believed in God, and they gave away their material wealth and only believed in spiritual wealth.
Yes, very nice.
Saints.
Yeah, all the saints. Yeah, even Srila Prabhupada was in this condition all throughout his major part of his life. So, and later Prabhupada also moved into the third category. Towards the end of his life, he had everything, but he remained committed to serving Krishna. So, box one, increasingly miserable condition. That people who has no spiritual knowledge and no material facility also, they for them they will be, their condition is miserable and remain miserable, and it will increase. So no hope for comfort unless mercy they get from Lord or devotees. People in box 2, they have all the material comforts, and they will probably, they have the knowledge and the comfort to exploit the world resources, so they will probably be arrogant and proud. And Hiranyakashipu was part of this box, as we discussed already. The Prahlad, when he became king, was in this box. Dhruva Maharaj, Yudhishthir Maharaj, Priyavrata Maharaj are all examples. They accepted the kingdom, they accepted to become king because it was requested by Lord as a service to Lord. So they had, so they never lost their bhakti, because they were because they were given the kingdom to rule. They continue to remain devotees despite of having a kingdom to rule, and activities to perform, and palaces to live, wives to and the families to manage, kingdom administration to be done. Despite of all that, they continue to remain good, very nice devotees throughout their life, and then they never got deviated from the devotion. The bhakti say they could get deviated during the entire lifespan. So all those are examples of box 3. Box 4, this is a decreasingly miserable condition. So when Prahlad was tortured, he had bhakti. So he knew that Lord will take care of it, and Lord will take care of me. And so with that in mind, he was always remembering God. And so no matter how much torture that he was subjected to, his faith and remembrance on Krishna never got shaken, and because of which he was always saved. So the miracle in the pastime of Narasimha Dev, under Prahlad Maharaj's pastime, when he was tortured to death by the Rakshasas of Hiranyakashipu. The soldiers of Hiranyakashipu were trying to kill Prahlad, and he was getting saved every time. With every attempt, he was saved. All their attempts to kill him failed. Now, what is the miracle part of it is not that he was saved. The miraculous part of it is that he could remember Krishna despite of all distress. By seeing those weapons thrown at him, he could take shelter of Krishna. He could take shelter of Krishna. Now, this is the miracle. This is a miracle because this is something can happen when you are intentional devotee. Only why intention? When you cultivate that remembrance, then only we'll be able to remember Krishna in the most distressed time, where he took more shelter of Krishna, more the hardship that he started facing, more the torture that he was being subjected to. He took the greater shelter of Krishna, and that is the miraculous part. Not that because everything is possible for Krishna, but it is not possible for Krishna to induce us to take his shelter. That is for a soul to do individually, that for us, because the soul has a choice. Soul actually has a choice of not remembering Krishna and remembering someone else. But Prahlad was saved because he could remember Krishna every time, and all the time. Whenever he was facing a challenge, whenever he was not facing a challenge, he was constantly remembering Krishna. So he being saved by Krishna is not a miracle. How he could cultivate such unflinching faith and remembrance of Krishna, that is a miracle. That is what actually saved Prahlad. So how to deal with situations of distress in our life, because we will have distresses also. Lord has said that this is a dukhalaya, so nobody will escape a distressful condition, situation that is coming in their life. If we have job today, we may lose job tomorrow. We may suffer financial loss tomorrow. We have good health today, we may lose our health tomorrow. We may get disease. We may we have all our loved ones, surrounded by all our loved ones. Tomorrow some of them might be gone, and that's just the nature of the work, and we will be subjected to a lot of distress because of that. We will get exposed to a lot of distress because of that. What should we do in such situation to deal with it? Now, if we today don't have distress, doesn't guarantee that we will not have distress tomorrow. So the distresses will come. That's the nature of the world. So we should prepare ourselves to face those distresses. So the Krishna will help us prepare for those distresses. The process of bhakti that we follow today will help us prepare for facing those distresses tomorrow. And this is what we want to do when we practice devotional service. How it is done? By changing our focus from what we want from God to what we can do for God. Now, the love has two aspects. When we hear Hindi movies, hero says to heroine that मैं आपके लिए चांद तारे तोड़ लाऊंगा. Now, there is a natural tendency to do something for your beloved. Also, the heroine will say, "Kal se tum smoking nahi karoge, otherwise you are no more my boyfriend. You are not my hero." And boy gives up smoking and drinking and whatever. So, in any loving relationship, there are things that you would want to do for your beloved, and there are things that you will want to give up for your beloved. and we will have to we also in this particular relationship, we don't have to just take from Krishna. We can do things for Krishna also. As a natural tendency, every soul wants to do something for others, and hence if we can do something for Krishna in every condition, every situation, so that will be extremely pleasing for Krishna. So Indra, in the same pastime, Indra offer prayers to Lord Narasimha, saying that, "Oh Lord, we were all living in distressed condition. Our opulence, our material opulence was taken away, and because of which we could not perform yajnas for your satisfaction. But now, since you have killed Hiranyakashipu, all over, and you will return us our heavenly facilities, now we will start performing those yajnas for your satisfaction." Now this is not very satisfying for Lord. Why? Because in every condition of life we can do something for Krishna. So when Krishna was born, was Devaki and Vasudeva were in jail. They were not ruling any kingdom, but he in his mind donated lakhs and lakhs of cows. Because he didn't had physical cows, he donated. So our mind can, nobody can take away our mind from us, and as long as we are in this world. So there is no way we can say that we cannot do anything for God. Even remembering God is also a service to God. So there is no situation we can be where we will say that we cannot do anything for Krishna. There cannot be any such situation in our life that we can face where we will say that we cannot remember, we can do nothing for Krishna, we cannot do anything for Krishna because our conditions are bad. No matter if we have job, if we don't have job, no matter how much opulence we have, and what is my target of opulence, that is 1 dozen flats or half a dozen flat instead of just 2-3 flats. No matter what is my condition, there is no situation in our life where we will say that we cannot do anything for God. So our focus in our mind should be changed from what we should expect from God to what we can do for God. Now this is very empowering shift of mindset, and it will release us completely from any stressful condition, because you always have ability. It will immediately put you in position of control, that because in every condition you can do something for Krishna, and if you can do something for Krishna, you can do something for yourself also. So in every situation we can find out what we can do for Lord. So in the example, Srila Prabhupada served Krishna in every condition. Yesterday we discussed some of these examples that we had when we had nothing. When Prabhupada had nothing, he was serving Krishna. When he left his family, accepted Vanaprastha, accepted sannyas, started living in temple, one room, small room, translating Bhagavatam with no assistants, no disciple. He was serving Krishna. He had no other business but to serve Krishna in every condition. So he was hit by a bull in the middle of a road in Delhi summer, and then he got up and again started book distribution. So he was completely unshaken by material conditions, and therefore he was always in the mood, what can I do for Krishna in this condition, how can I serve Krishna nice. He was facing one after another reversals. The league of devotees, the league that he started, which was similar to ISKCON that he wanted to establish in India before he went to America, that he started in Jhansi, and that got failed. So practically one after another reversals he was facing, and he was continuously thinking, how I can improvise, what can I do more for Krishna, how I can serve Krishna. So his desire to serve Krishna was never lost, and that is what that is when Krishna also reciprocated with him by giving him so much glory. So when Prabhupada says chant and be happy, now some says this, we can read this as one instruction, but there are two instructions also. We can look at it that way also, that chant is perform chanting, and be happy. Be happy is austerity of mind. In the 17th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, 16th verse, Krishna says mana prasada, that having a pleasing mind is austerity. Austerity means it's a hardship. it's not easy. So you should, as a devotee, you should maintain a happy mind. And when we are in the mood of serving others, we are happy, we become naturally very happy. So by remembering Krishna, by chanting his name, and by remaining in a happy condition of life, of mind, by maintaining our mind in a pleasant condition, we can come through, face through all the challenges in our life, and still continue to perform our bhakti without any deviation. So where we how do we deal with the future? When we are going through a distress condition or a difficult phase in our life, we don't know what future hold for us. But what we should know, all of us know that by learning scriptures, that who holds that future for us? It is Krishna who holds the future, and if he wants, he will remove all the obstacles from my life so that I can continue to perform bhakti. If he wants, he may continue to give me the troubles that he has provided so far, so that without deviation I can still continue to perform bhakti. I can still take in greater shelter of Krishna, and in my distress, because of my distresses, and I can be thankful to Krishna for giving my distresses, so that I don't get lost in material enjoyments. So in every situation we can have gratitude for Krishna, and we can thank Krishna for this. So we must strive to become intentional devotion. This is called intentional devotee, not circumstantial devotion. कि और कोई चारा नहीं था, इसके लिए मैंने भक्ति की. The moment the other options emerges, the Krishna goes in the background. So keeping full faith in Krishna, we should look to serve him in every situation. And devotee association, devotional service will help us remain focused in this effort. So just to summarize, and then we will go to the question answer. So Prahlad Maharaj faced dangers just for becoming a devotee of Lord. Not for doing anything wrong, but for doing something that is right, that should be done by everyone. Now, for doing that thing only, he was facing dangers in his life. So due to infringing faith in Lord, he could remember him without deviation. Again, because he could remember Krishna with full shelter of Krishna, no other recourse. He didn't have a plan B, plan C, plan D, nothing. His only shelter was Krishna, and he was fully dependent on Krishna. And just like when the child is small, it's fully dependent on parents. A parent take maximum care of it. It doesn't, because they know that a child has no one else other than them to help, to take care of. So a child is protected maximum. Similarly, Lord protects us maximum when we take full shelter of him without any plan B or plan C. We should aspire to cultivate constant remembrance of Krishna by becoming an intentional devotee, not a circumstantial devotees. Not just before my exam, not only when my somebody elderly person in my home falls sick and gets admitted to a hospital, I run to temple. Not when I lose job and I'm worried when will I get my next job and how will, no, those are good to start with, but at least one should not stay there at that level, because and one will progress to become an intentional devotee when they will understand Krishna's glories and Krishna's love for us. When they understand his greatness and understand his sweetness, they will willingly surrender themselves to Krishna and perform the hearing and chanting, the devotional activities with wholeheartedly, in a wholehearted manner, and thereby develop their love for Krishna. So the facility for remembering Krishna is provided by our group through chanting and reading. The chanting happens in the morning and reading happens in the evening. Reading from Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, that happens in the evening, and Japa, the chanting session where we get connected with Krishna by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, that happens in the morning. All of you are welcome. I'll circulate the slides, so please note down, and all of you must be attending also. But anybody who is new can take note of it and attend these sessions. So you can move to question answer session today.
Prabhuji, I have one question from from the example of Prahlada Maharaj, he was devotee of Krishna and he totally believed in Krishna. But at the same time, he had to serve as a king and go through the cycle, complete cycle of life and birth, and then probably end of the life and life, he must have attended place near Krishna. So that means we have to continue to do our services in this and still be devotional to Krishna, so that at the end of the life we attain the position near Krishna.
Yes, thanks for nice question, Troji. So we'll go to Bhagavatam again for this answer. And there's in the 5th canto beginning, there's a pastime appears of Priyavarta Maharaj. So Priyavarta Maharaj wants to become a devotee, similar to Prahlad. He's similar to Dhruva Maharaj. He's at very childhood, at very small age, he has been preached by Narad Muni. So he doesn't want to fall into the entanglement of becoming a king. Now he was a prince, and Swayambhu Manu was his father, and Swayambhu Manu was old. So he wanted to hand over his kingdom to Priyavarta and go to Vanaprastha, except Vanaprastha become a full-time devotee and perform devotional activities, spend rest of his life in performing devotional bhakti, basically. So this conversation took place between him and Priyavarta, who is a young son, and both wants to do the same thing, but none of them wanted to rule the kingdom. And this is where Swayambhu Manu is Brahmaji is his father, so Brahmaji appears. And then there's an elaborate discussion that takes place. Brahmaji appears, Narad Muni also appears, because Narad Muni is his guru. He's a disciple of Narad Muni, is a spiritual master. So he brings Narad Muni also. He asks him also to be present there. And in this assembly, the discussion happens. In that discussion, Brahmaji is explaining to him, that Priyavarta, that this is a service that has been given to you, so you should accept it. Don't think that by doing this you are not serving Lord. Don't have to think it that way only, that when you go to forest and perform bhakti, only that is called the bhakti, rest everything is not bhakti. So because you are a jitendriya, because you have been able to conquer your mind, the material world will not entangle you in any way. That's what Brahmaji is explaining him, that you're a perfect devotee, you are a jitendriya. So this material world cannot impact you, cannot affect you, cannot entangle you in any way. So you please accept this request from your father and become king and rule in just and judicious manner. Then he gives example of himself, that I'm creating, Shivji is destroying, and others are also, Narad Muni is preaching. Now all three of us, he's saying, we are all serving Krishna in different ways, based on our capacity, based on the need, based on our capacity, based on our inclinations. We are all serving Krishna. Now Shivji is destroying, he's in charge of destruction, doesn't mean that he's not serving Krishna. He's also serving the same Lord. I am in charge of creation, I am also serving the same Lord. Narad is in charge of preaching movement, he is also serving the same Lord. Now the service to Lord is a dynamic, is a multi-dimensional, is not a static, that when you are ringing bell and showing agarbatti, that's when you are serving Lord. That is just one type of service, but there could be, it's a multifaceted, there are multiple angles and multiple ways Lord can also be served. And he says that all of us are serving Lord. So you ruling this kingdom will also be a service to Lord. He says that if you are a jitendriya, because you are a jitendriya, the world cannot affect you. And he says, similarly, conversely, he says that anybody who is not a jitendriya, who has not been able to conquer his mind, who get defeated by his desires of his mind, even the forest cannot help such person, because in forest also he will be thinking about sense gratification, and that's what happened with Ajamil. He didn't go to a cinema hall to watch a movie. he went to forest for carrying out order of his father, where he saw a prostitute and her lover, and then fell down from a brahmanical position. So coming to your question, that um, that we have to perform our duties, and devotional service can also have multiple way. It can be done in multiple ways, and as long as we remain, we see everything as a in relationship with the Lord, and we see our family as expansions of Lord, interested in our custody, to take care of them, to discipline them, to give them Krishna consciousness. And if we see, look at our job or our all our other activities in relationship with Lord, not independently of Lord, as long as we do that, we will still remain within the fold of bhakti. We don't have to necessarily give up bhakti, and we can take greater shelter of bhakti whenever the greater shelter of Krishna, whenever we face challenges in this way, while performing, carrying out our devotional activities and also material activities. So there can be, as when he became king, he was engaging himself in administrative work. He was living in Paris, he had wives, he had children, he was fighting wars. Now all the activities that a king will normally do, even Dhruv Maharaj was also doing, Prahlad Maharaj was also doing, Yudhishthir was also doing, Priyavrata Maharaj was also doing. However, they did it all not for their own not for on their own accord, but as a service to Krishna. And when they did it in that mood, everything became devotional service. So as Brahmaji said, that devotional service is not a static activity, it is a dynamic activity, and a lot of activities can be brought under the bracket of devotional service if they are done properly under proper guidance. And hence Prahlad Maharaj was requested to become king. Now a lot of devotees say that we also want that kind of somebody to request us to become king, but depending on our inclinations, depending on our capacity, depending on the need, those kind of facilities can also be given to us. But essentially, performing devotional service is not just one type of activity. One of the type of activity is becoming a full-time devotee and wearing saffron and serving in temple, and that's extremely nice. If anybody who can do that is extremely nice, and that's perfect way of serving Lord also. But there are other ways in which Lord can also be served, and all those are bona fide as long as we do it with connection with Lord, in the relationship with Lord, not independently of Lord.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
So any other questions? Go to the chat box.
Prabhuji, if there is enough time, please correct me if I'm moving out of context. Probably serving Lord, and we see a lot of examples that people, devotees, take samadhis. Now, samadhi is it's very spiritual, but then you are ending your life and you are taking samadhi in early age. We have seen a lot of saints doing that. So does Krishna say that, what does Krishna consciousness says about this particular aspect of devotion?
So the no matter what condition you are in, or no matter how well or how badly you are situated, what could be, you should be prepared to serve the Lord. Jivera Swarupahaya Nitya Krishna Dasa. That is the position. Now, samadhi, is this service to Lord? Probably no. One may, it's if one is taking samadhi in the young age, intentionally ending one's life, can that be equivalent of suicide? Why it's not be equivalent of suicide? It could be equivalent of suicide. Now, going to Lord, so the bhakti tradition looks at it completely differently. They say that when your time will be up, you will be called back. there will be situation when that everybody who has taken birth, the death is obvious for them, that is guaranteed for them. So until the moment that moment arrives, you have to serve the Lord. You have to preach, you have to perform bhakti, you have to you be of some use to Krishna in some way or the other. Now the samadhi is a self-motivated, could be a self-motivated thing where I, at the age of 18, I want to end my life. Unless it's like but again, it's Lord incarnate, he doesn't have to worry about that. But apart from Lord's incarnation, for everybody else, they should continue to serve him till their time is up. And when their time is up, they will know, then that moment they can surrender everything to Krishna. So Prabhupada was asked, do you have any last desire towards the end of his life? And he says, no. Na shochati na kankshati, brahmabhuta prasannatma, na shochati na kankshati. There's a verse comes in Bhagavad Gita towards the end of 18th chapter. And so this was the mood Prabhupada easily went into. Now he had empire behind him. He could have also said ki achhe se behave karna, become stay together. He could have said 100 things. He could have, but he said he has no desire. He has no anxiety, and he doesn't want anything. No desire, no hankering, no anxiety, and he was completely happy, and he was completely submerged in remembering Krishna in his last few hours. And then, because that was also a lesson for everyone, that's got shot on the camera, his last few days. And so that's an example that how to give up one's body. Now continuously serving Krishna till the last breath, translate Bhagavatam, chant Hare Krishna, remember Krishna, all these are services to Krishna till the last moment of your life. He has created empire, but he just handed it over to people, and then he said, I have no desire. And he immediately went into trance, remembering Krishna, and then gave up his body in that mood, surrounded by devotees chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra 24/7, and were such a glorious way of departing from the world. And that's what he demonstrated by that was became famous as a final lesson, that this is how you should hope to live from the world. Not and then obviously such a pure soul leaves, your samadhi will be constructed there. And then whenever such a pure soul leaves, their samadhi mandir is constructed in Vrindavan. So don't have to strive for that. You have to strive for serving the Lord, and everything else is consequential.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. So if there are no other questions, we can end today's session.